his form in this tournament and get to those latter stages, he can show just that. But for Web Nasri, he needs to get to the final. He needs pretty much a top 2 finish to get into that E-World Cup.
The dream is still alive, and that's sometimes all you can hold on to. You just got to play your game. We're underway here. And of course, the winner of this game will go on to play against the man who just won his last game that we saw on broadcast, and that is Tuga. He ground out that result, and at this kind of stage in a tournament, it doesn't matter how you win. It's the fact that you get that win.
I'm sure that all the players are going to be watching on and looking at how some of these competitors are setting themselves up in that 4-4-2 from Tuga. Certainly it's very difficult to break down.
Well, here's Web Nasri trying his best to break down the defences. A little speculative, excuse me, let me put my teeth back in. Shot towards Ajax Tor's goal there. Maybe just trying to do a little bit of reconnaissance there. Is he moving his goalkeeper? Is he paying attention? Is he alert to the situation? And the answer to that time was yes.
Web Nasri does find himself into this position because he won that penalty shootout earlier on today against Gravesen. He was able to hold his nerve in a very tense affair, which was able to keep his E-World Cup hopes alive, and now he's going to be going forward again against Tor here.
Well, a little scoop here from Nasri. The goalkeeper had been moved there pretty early by Tor. Maybe that's a little mechanic he's using to combat those crosses. Once he sees that little scoop or an El Tornado or a Balassi flick, whatever it might be, to get that little bit of verticality on the ball before delivering that cross. Moving the goalkeeper early, gives him that split second to maybe shift his weight across and just come out and claim those crosses.
And it's why we've seen less people using the crossing meta as we've got further into this tournament, is because people are getting better at reading it. They're finding more ways to try and defend against it, whether it's shifting a player defensively to get in the way of the cross, or whether it's just a little bit of goalkeeper movement as well.
Tor's won the ball back here and he's striding forward, and Nasri is playing a pretty deep line, much like we saw from Tuga, but the 4-2-3-1, the formation of choice here for the Japanese, and that was a real opportunity, to be honest with you. We saw the scoop turn. I think he's a little bit disappointed that he had that one brought back, because the scoop turn had gone inside his man. There was an opportunity to strike on goal. Maybe there's going to be one here as Vieira plays it back to R9. Neymar onto that right foot. Van der Sar scrambles across to turn it behind for a corner.
Players really have worked out what to do from set pieces now. The layoff seems to be so popular in getting it into those danger areas.
Towards the back post, Van Dijk was always going to win that one. You just saw him, he had the run on his man, and it's so difficult to defend. And Ajax Tor, he takes the lead here, and it's Virgil van Dijk with the header.
And Tor, who has had a lot of ups and downs this season. I mean, I remember at the E-Nations, they performed so well in his group, but then struggled a little bit in the knockout stages, and he was eliminated maybe earlier than expected after their performances. So now at this tournament, he's looking to show up and try and get into a quarter-final and try and show that he is a dominant force that people need to be recognising and people need to feel threatened by.
So Web Nasri is going to have to find a little bit more of that magic that seems to surround him when he reaches the playoffs every year. 20 minutes gone in this first half. You can see now building through the midfield, Vieira to Hullet. This is where things start to get a little bit more interesting. CR7 turns back inside, Neymar. It's safe from the goalkeeper. Corner here, second phase of this attack. You can see trying to get manual control of one of the big men in the box here, and it looks like it's going to be whipped in towards that back post. That takes the goalkeeper out of commission. And I think he got up to contest the header, but it was well defended again. Second corner here, this time taken quickly into the front post. And a wasted chance there for Web Nasri.
A couple of set-piece specialists, it seems, in this round of 16 tie. And it's not like this is uncharted territory for Web Nasri as well. I remember back in London at an LQE, he did actually reach a console final where he lost out to Nicholas. I seem to be saying that a lot today. Everyone seems to be losing out to Nicholas in these console finals. So he knows how to perform in latter stages of the tournament, but it's whether he can actually get to those stages to try and get that spot in the E-World Cup.
Well, for Ajax Tor, there might be a chance to double his lead here. Hullet just manages to get in the way of what looked like a penetrative pass into the space behind the defence there. A little speculative shot from distance is going to test Edwin van der Sar, and to be honest with you, He didn't look too convincing there.
And now that will give Nasri the chance to try and counter-attack, but there's already so many bodies behind the ball, and it's very difficult in FIFA 19 to try and get up the pitch quickly when your opponent is playing so deep.
However, the passing is slick here from Webb Nasri, and he's managed to almost work his way into a position. Here's Ruud Gullit. Cricketta one, there's two, gets the space for the shot, and again the green timing is something we haven't seen, and maybe that's been the difference so far.
I mean, if he times it green like 2 out of 3 times, he's probably got a couple of goals here, has Webb Nasri. He's coming so close, just a matter of inches, maybe even millimetres away from equalising, and I think Ajax Tour is going to be well aware of that. He needs to tighten up a little bit at the back, maybe hold the ball, try and restrict some of these chances for Nasri, but he's giving the ball away again. Really got to be careful with some of these passes, maybe making passes he doesn't need to be making at this stage of the game.
Can Webb Nasri find a goal before the break here to send it into the second half of this first leg all tied up? Again, bodies behind the ball here for Ajax Tour, all about concentration for him. Not getting dragged out of position, not making a mistake with that player switching, and most importantly, when the opportunity arises to nick that ball back, you take that chance.
I love seeing Alexandra on the pitch. I just think he's a fantastic fullback to be using in FIFA 19. One of my favourites personally. It's just the strength that he offers. He's able to just shove a man off the ball, and then the pace as well he can add to boot.
Well, here's Ajax Tour coming forward again. Almost managed to thread the needle there and find that pass into the man who was just waiting to maybe unleash a strike of his own. Sandro is going to be on the ball on this left-hand side again. Vieira finds Gullit now. This could well be the last attack here before the half, but no, Webb Nasri's won the ball back, and maybe it'll be him who can stride forward now.
And we saw in his previous tie, he is more than happy to wait and take that last attack, restrict his opponent's opportunity before a half-time whistle or a full-time whistle. So it is just going to be keep ball and then pounce just right at the exact moment when he knows there's no punishment.
Neymar finds CR7, on the body
Okay.
of Ruud Gullit is what stopped the man from striding towards goal there. Free kick here, right on the stroke of half-time. Three men stood over the ball. Ronaldo lets it run. R9 strikes it! And Webb Nasri, he has that magic when it matters.
And you can see he was teeing it up as well. He was just waiting for the bodies to get out of the way, saying, yeah, just move a little bit more to the left, a little bit more to the left. He knew exactly where he wanted to put that ball, and the keeper's getting nowhere near it. And you know me, Mark, I love a direct free kick. And we have seen some incredible ones already this tournament.
So much goes into a set piece like that. A little run off the ball. And what we can't see is the defensive side of that. Tor's going to be pulling a man out of the wall to try and cover that run, and just leaves that little gap, that little glimpse of that far corner. And R9 Ronaldo decided to use that left foot to strike it into the back of the net, but what a strike it was. And we go into the break now at one apiece.
I mean, and as we should, in July, when we're getting to the late stages of FIFA 19, players should have worked out how to be scoring free kicks. And of course, we've seen different varieties. We've seen people lay it off and go for a shot. We've seen people just chip it up and go for a volley that we saw in the previous game earlier on stream as well. And now Webb Nasri showing that you can hit them direct too. I mean, FIFA 19 has shown up some spectacular free kicks throughout the season, and I think that's certainly one that we need to be thinking about, because not only was it a decent free kick, but also in what it means for Webb Nasri in keeping his season alive. The impact it has on this particular game is huge.
And to execute in that moment as well, when the pressure's really on. And we talk about pressure a lot as commentators, as analysts. There's a lot of money on the line. There's a lot on the line all the time in these competitions that you have to factor in. And being able to execute the mechanical skill when you have to in those big moments is what separates the top dogs from the chasing pack. But one thing that always stands out to me is the character of Webb Nasri. He's quite an unflappable character, doesn't get carried away with anything, doesn't, get too emotional in any particular situations he finds himself in game. He's always kind of just happy to be here kind of thought.
I mean, he just silently goes about his business, and if he performs well, he performs well. If he doesn't perform well, he doesn't perform well. He doesn't have to shout and scream about it to the rest of the world. I mean, I'm sure that not many people would remember that he did get to that console final at the LQE in London, because he just did it in such a manner that was just nice and elegant, really.
Under the radar.
It just worked out for him. It's where he secured a lot of his Global Series ranking points, and that's why he is here today.
Well, hailing from Japan, and oh! He was just inches away from finding the top corner there. What a strike that was, and I mean, that would have sent shockwaves through Ajax Tor. A goal either side of the half-time whistle was a real way to take control of the game.
Yeah, I think Tor knows that it's going to be very difficult to keep Web Nasri at a low-scoring game here. He's going to have to go toe-to-toe with him and match him for goals, which is going to require a little bit of aggression and a little bit of maybe some risky through balls as well.
Well, one way to silence someone who's just found their form is to find a goal. Here's Neymar. Ball falls back to CR7. Quick interchange between those two players, and Van der Sar has to take flight. And great handling from him not to spill it to an on-rushing attacker as well. Great save.
We're starting to see the green timings from both players as well. They're starting to warm up and ensuring they're hitting the timing correctly, which is going to lead to a very exciting game. It should provide plenty of goals to be screaming and shouting about as well.
Another attack building then for Ajax Tor. See, Danny Da Costa's got a little bit of space to attack here on the right-hand side. Quick ball in. The fake shot, the drag back, trying to be utilised there to get a little bit of space to create some options. But speaking of space, Kylian Mbappe. Enjoy yourself, young man. All sorts of space in behind here for Web Nasri to exploit. And look at the space at the back post. Back across goal, but R9 couldn't get in front of his man in time.
Yeah, it was just a little bit too far to try and actually head that into goal for Cristiano Ronaldo. So I do respect that Web Nasri quickly opted to pass, but unfortunately it just wasn't enough.
Well, he's managed to pick the ball off of his opponent here, and there's space here for Neymar. My word, David De Gea had to make a save.
So much pace has been injected into this by Web Nasri now. And Tor is struggling to keep up with the speed of which the ball is being passed around. And of course, the speed of which the ball is being fired towards his goal as well. But thankfully, his goalkeeper is on form and his goalkeeper movement has been on par too.
This has been a fantastic start to this second half as Neymar now turns onto his right foot. It's green again. Similar result though, no goal to report, but this really has opened up now, this game.
I mean, no rest for the wicked. As soon as you see the ball at one end, it's straight down the other end for Web Nasri.
Well, here's Mbappe once again. Danny Da Costa's having a torrid time of things, and he does well enough to just see it out for a goal kick, but there really is seeming to be a space on the pitch here for Web Nasri to try and utilise. Mbappe's having a little bit of joy on that left-hand side.
And he's also noticed there that R9's starting to feel a little bit run down, so he's going to make that substitution and bring on Eusebio. And I mean, we have seen Nasri get into some quite dangerous areas and hit some pretty impressive shots. You get Eusebio on the ball doing that, and you'd like to think it'd be flying into the back of the net, because Eusebio is one of the most reliable players. But the 4-2-3-1 versus the 4-1-2-1-2, almost something like that. The battle that we've got. We've got the narrow formation versus the wide formation essentially going on. So we're seeing Tor just trying to dominate the midfield and try and play it through the middle. But Web Nasri is being offered up so much space on the wings.
Interesting tactical battle. Be something we'll keep our eyes on as that develops throughout the game. If Ajax Tor recognises maybe where he's struggling a little bit defensively, or if he's just happy to kind of rely on the offensive capabilities the 4-1-2-1-2 is going to offer him. Ronaldinho introduced to the game here for Web Nasri. But here's Mbappe. Eusebio now, maybe a chance for him. Ronaldinho maybe brought on the pitch for his attacking intents here, but defensively, well, he's done well enough to win the ball back here for Web Nasri.
Yeah, both players actually have brought on Ronaldinho, so they see him as quite the impactful super sub, and we'll see whether he can be one of the players that does make a difference and breaks this deadlock. Certainly the speed starting to slow down a little bit. Web Nasri playing the ball around, but there's that space on the left-hand side again. Can he do anything with it?
Comes back inside this time. You can see the wall of players in front of him. That is central. It's just a case at the moment of trying to maybe pull across that defence. Wait for that little bit of space to open up and find that pass. Good patience here from Web Nasri. Mendy now back inside to Ronaldinho, the man who's fresh on the pitch. Vieira goes back inside, but Patrick Vieira, that's where it's so congested for Web Nasri.
He just can't get the ball in the middle of the park. Yes, okay, he's got all this room on the left-hand side, but because he's not crossing it in, he's trying to play the ball, he's trying to recycle it, and then he's just going into the middle, and Tor's like, okay, I'm more than happy for that to happen. because I've got so many bodies in the way and you're not going to be able to get a shot on goal.
Now having to concentrate so long in defence, he's got to do some work at the other end, or attempt to do some work at the other end, and it almost came off for him there. A little bit of fortune nearly favoured him. And when you're Webb Nasri and you've held on to possession for so long in an attack, then you have to kind of switch mentality and defend a little bit. Sometimes you can be prone to that mistake.
It's so difficult when you have given away the ball via a mistake, because you quickly have to try and claw back and switch that mind defensively. And sometimes that's when you find yourself just making more and more mistakes, because you begin to panic a little bit, trying to chase the ball around. But Nasri now is slowing it down again. He's maybe looked at the clock in the top left-hand corner and says, okay, we're tied up 1-1. Do I fancy giving Tor another attack in this game? Well, a mistake will allow one.
I mean, I feel a bit sorry for him there, to be honest with you. Ferland Mendy's really let him down with that touch on the ball. You can see every single player was behind the ball for Ajax Tor, but that defence is now springing into attack, and maybe there's a chance at the end of the game for him to steal it away. And speaking of stealing it away, the counter-attack is now on for Webb Nasri. One more chance to go forward.
And one more chance he will have. He does have the time to do so, but it's whether he can get through these bodies in the middle.
Great tackle.
As Mbappe makes the challenge, and the final whistle of the first leg is blown. And I tell you what, that was an explosive first leg. We might not have had too many goals, but we had plenty of chances.
Plenty to talk about, to be honest with you. You can see the two players here kind of reflecting on what just happened in that first leg. And I mean, the goals kind of happened either side of the break. Sorry, both in the first half. The second half was, in my opinion, the one that was really full of chances. We'll take a look at some of those chances now to just refresh your memories at home. But Webb Nasri's really bringing it to Ajax Tor, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried when Webb Nasri went 1-0 down. I didn't know if he was going to be able to get back into the game. Was it just going to be dominated by Tor? But I tell you what, Webb Nasri looks so good going forward, and he could have had maybe 3 or 4 goals if the ball had gone just an inch in the other direction. He was timing a lot of them green. We criticised in the first leg of the first half, first half of the first leg, because he wasn't hitting them green. He wasn't getting the timing correct. We were saying if he was hitting them green, it would have been going in. Later, he started timing them green, and tell you what, that's one hell of a free kick there as well.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic set piece from Webb Nasri there. And you can see there's almost a little bit of, yeah, pretty decent, to be honest with you, as far as Ajax Tor's reaction to that. But into the second half, it was kind of the train of Webb Nasri just steaming his way towards goal, but couldn't break through.
Yeah, Webb Nasri really has a lot to do going into this second leg. And as a reminder, if you link your EA and Twitch accounts, you can be eligible to win some pretty cool stuff, like premium goal players packs, team of the season, FUT items, and of course, much, much more is on the way throughout the weekend. Also, anyone who has their account already linked, you can get your PlayStation Playoffs Twitch Drop kit. You can see there, it's absolutely beautiful. I think actually I need to add that so I can have that in my collection. I've got quite a fair few now from Twitch Drops across this season. But Webb Nasri, his E-World Cup chances are still on the line. He could still be that player to break into that top 16. Of course, we saw pictures of FUTWIZ Marco watching on earlier. This is another player that FUTWIZ Marco will want to see losing.
And the fascinating thing for me watching a player like Webb Nasri is his development just a year on from where we saw him last year. Yeah, we're talking about his fantastic run back in Amsterdam, but we were watching in Amsterdam and he didn't have game management, is the nice way to put it. He would just keep going forward, keep going forward. He'd be one up in the 92nd minute. He'd boot the ball long and try and score again. He didn't have that aspect to his game. And seeing a real, well-rounded player now at this stage in FIFA 19 just shows, if regions like Japan have these players come over and have the opportunity to play against some of these other players, the best in the world, you can learn so much and you can turn into such a talent yourself. And maybe he can go one stage further here. Maybe he can make that E-World Cup final. Or maybe it's going to be the Ajax man who steals that opportunity away and stamps his authority on the pack ahead of him.
Well, these are the kind of players he has to beat if he wants to earn that spot at the E-World Cup. So you can't lose to a player like Ajax Tor, who's kind of in that 10 to 12 region, and then expect to be gifted a spot at the most prestigious tournament of the year. You have to beat the best to play the best. And if he can come away with a victory here, then that is the first hurdle towards that E-World Cup.
Well, he momentarily had a little 3-on-3 situation, but Danny da Costa's managed to get his frame back in the way there to intercept and win the ball back here for Ajax Tor. And now he can come forward. This time Ferland Mendy, who almost kind of Made a bit of a blooper, to be honest with you, at the end of that first leg to give the possession back to Ajax Tor for an attack. Now he's got to defend here. Ajax Tor, ball forced to Hullet, massive chance. It was fortunate, and it has not been converted. Corner now to Web Nasri. You can see Ajax Tor hovering with Virgil van Dijk. Mbappe goes to the edge of the box. It's Vieira into Hullet. Time Green. Oh, the ball is just bobbling about everywhere, but Tor gratefully has it now in the hands of De Gea.
Yeah, so many bodies just getting in the way. It's all well and good getting these shots away from Web Nasri, but unfortunately he's just firing them into red and white shirts. Needs to get some clear-cut chances. And
speaking of cutting.
Oh, and Hullet, yeah, he cuts him up completely. It's only going to be a yellow card, though, but now he's going to have to be a little bit careful. Haven't seen many red cards this tournament, actually.
I'm absolutely fine with that. I mean, we saw one back in Hamburg that led to a last-second $10,000 penalty save from Rebel Painter, but here at the PS4 playoffs, none to report that we've seen so far on broadcast, I believe. Maldini will win that header, though, for Tor. Nothing from the initial phase of the attack here from the free kick, but maybe, just maybe, he can find something. Oh, it's beautiful from Neymar! And a little bit of Brazilian flair just introduced itself to the playoffs.
I mean, in that situation, to make that decision to go for that flick over the head, what a touch that is, and that's what you can get from some of these incredible foot items, some of these incredible players on these squads, but also some incredible players on the sticks as well. Great decision-making, and now it's going to be a lead for Ajax Tor.
He hasn't had too much of the game as far as run of play is concerned, but when it mattered in that moment, well, that was just breathtaking. Neymar the scorer, the lead now back with Ajax Tor, and Web Nasri, he's got to find an equaliser.
Web Nasri definitely has it in him. I mean, he's had some pretty incredible chances, and he's been very close to getting goals in the first leg. So I'm sure he's not going to be too worried, but I'd be pretty intimidated if Ajax Tor does take a 2-goal lead.
Well, here's Ruud Gullit, and that cricketer just kind of fed the ball into the path of Cristiano Ronaldo, who was getting back to do some defensive work. There was an opportunity there to craft an attack, but look at the players now flowing forward for Web Nasri. Midfield has managed to kind of regroup, but a little ball roll is going to present the ball to Neymar. Huge chance! Oh. And in that moment, he needed the composure that Tor had at the other end. Corner. Neymar in towards the back post, defended again by Tor.
I don't know if it was a lack of composure from Nasri or just more composure from Tor with the goalkeeper movement to predict the ball was going to go that way. Unfortunately, Web Nasri went across goal and Tor had that read well and truly completed. And he's still a goal ahead because of it.
Well, here's Neymar. Oh, the step over, and you saw that swinging leg there from Danny Da Costa, I think it was. And if he makes a little bit of contact there, Neymar was gone. That could have well been a penalty shout.
For all of the players that do stream forward for Web Nasri when he does have the ball because of that 4-2-3-1 that's in effect. Unfortunately for him, Tor is switching so successfully, making it very difficult for any passes to be made by Web Nasri. So he's having to dribble his way into the box. But thankfully, Web Nasri's very good at dribbling and he knows how to utilize these skill moves. So we've got a nice little back and forth between these two players right now.
Oh, that's a little bit laxo from Web Nasri, having worked hard to pinch the ball, and now that space in behind will be eaten up by Kylian Mbappe. Players running. And Tor all of a sudden might be running away with this one. Finds the back of the net. A strike from distance. It wasn't green, but it was good enough to beat the goalkeeper.
Yeah, one that's slightly caught the goalkeeper off guard there. Maybe he actually caught Web Nasri off guard. He did try and bring Van Dijk in the way, but Cristiano Ronaldo slots it home. It might have even taken a small deflection off of Van Dijk there, which is going to make it even more difficult for the goalkeeper. But sometimes you do get the rub of the green, and it's just about taking advantage of it when you are in the lead. And now with a 2-goal advantage, Tor can opt to maybe play a little bit more defensive, a little bit more conserved here, and just try and keep the ball. Whereas for Web Nasri, it's going to have to be a case of switching up the formations and getting a little bit more attacking, getting in the face of Ajax Tor, not allowing him to have too much of the ball, and maybe utilising a bit of constant pressure as we get to the latter stages of this game as well, and especially a lot of second-man press. But we know that is going to leave spaces at the back. And if Tor can take advantage of those and get a 3-goal advantage, a lot of advantage will be had. And he should be enough to go on to the next round.
And of course, Footwiz Marco is going to be watching on and thinking that's another potential suitor to my 16th place spot, my spot on Team PS4. It will be dissipating out of the tournament. Well, that's got to make that smile that we saw creeping across his face earlier on getting a little more consistent, shall we say, every single time that we see a player fall.
I mean, I think realistically, he's going to have to wait until potentially even the semi-finals before we can even have a guarantee of being in that top 16. That's how scary it's going to be tomorrow for Footwiz Marco. But as you say, it could be another one bites the dust if Webb Nasri can't get some goals back here. But still plenty of time in this second leg.
Neymar, lovely accelerated fake shot away from Maldini. He managed to get a piece of it there, teasing the idea of that little cross, which just allowed him to get space as Mendy now twists and turns and uses the back heel to find Patrick Vieira. So many men behind the ball here. Webb Nasri's got to break him down somehow. Neymar's twisting and turning, maybe the chance to strike it, a couple of cricketers, and Van Dijk just throws himself in the way of the ball.
I like that Webb Nasri is playing out wide, though, and waiting on the ball, trying to bring Ajax towards centre of midfield out wide so then he can pass it in and have less men to beat. But even so, even when he has dragged one man out, there's still so many bodies. And he did very well to get that far into the box, but Ajax Tor was having none of it and said, all right, I'm just going to lob Virgil van Dijk at you. And usually that's a pretty good method to try and win the ball back.
So Ajax Tor, as we approach half-time in the second leg here, has that 2-goal advantage, and now he's looking to extend it. There's lots of space out wide for Alexandro, but the reason there was so much space is because he went a little bit early, and he will be caught offside.
$10,000 available for the victor of this game. And of course, that can keep going up and up the further you get in this tournament. 75,000 available for first place.
There will be a minimum of 2 minutes.
Last attack before that half-time whistle. A goal here would completely change the complexion of the game. But who's that making the tackle, you ask? It's R9 Ronaldo. Everyone getting involved. And it will be 2-0 in this game and 3-1 here on aggregate to the man on your screen.
It's been a decent amount of possession for Ajax Tor as well. A great second leg for him, 56%. And he has just kept Webb Nasri from having too many chances, even though there was a few early ones that probably got him a little bit sweaty. He does now realise that the game is very much in his hands, and he knows that Webb Nasri is most definitely going to be coming at him and be searching for a goal to get back into this one. Nasri has changed to a couple of different formations that are available in his dynamic tactics. I'm sure he's going to be utilising as this game gets further on and sending more players upfield and generating the pressure, increasing that back line to try and get players further up the pitch as well.
Luka Modric on the pitch just to offer a few more options going forward. Well, that's one option. Take that strike at goal. Neymar into the box. Van Dijk doesn't get up. It will be recycled here by Raphael Varane. Pressure here from Webb Nasri. Beautiful little spin inside. Oh, it's a little four-star combo. The ball roll into the chop, and he wins another corner. Neymar in, goalkeeper has to get there. Neymar in again, Da Costa gets up.
And most players would have been beaten by the amount of skill moves that we're seeing on offer right now.
Neymar, and that's one way to get back into it. The kid on your screen does not know how to lose games without putting up one hell of a fight.
And that's one way to beat all the bodies. Just hit it from afar as soon as you see a glimpse on goal. And he did just that. And he's tried a couple of those at the start of the game, and he just wasn't able to get them on target. Finally one does hurtle its way into the top corner. But he's done so well, has Webb Nasri, with the skill moves to beat the first man, beat the second man. But unfortunately for him, man 3, 4, and 5 have been there every single time. If he can beat them, he's going to have so many chances available. He's so good on the sticks. He knows how to chain the skill moves together. He knows exactly what he wants to do. But unfortunately, there just seems to be one man too many.
3-2 on aggregate, and how a goal can change a tie. Right at the start of this second half of the second leg as well. That means he has time to play with. Ajax though. He can extinguish the smoke if he can find a way towards goal here, find a chance himself, and reinstate that 2-goal advantage.
Yeah, unfortunately, this goal means he's put in a very indecisive situation of, do I push on, do I look for goals, or do I hold the ball and try and keep this 1-goal lead?
Mbappe here for Tor. Hullet gets a toe on it, but Neymar will keep possession. Hullet finds R9. In turn, finds Vieira. It's beautiful quick passing here from the Brazilian, but Luka Modric steps in. And look at this on the counter-attack now. It's almost a 3v3 situation. Maldini, that is special.
Yeah, unfortunately for Webb Nasri, he's just a little bit too hastily tapping that pass button when he regained possession after the initial missed pass. I would quite like him to see just a bit more calm and composed on the ball there and wait for that attack rather than trying to rush it and force it.
Well, here's Ajax Tor. Finally, to be honest, he's managed to get out of his half, and Van Dijk should win that header, and good composure there in defence from Webb Nasri, just nodding it back to the goalkeeper. And most importantly, Dan, in those kind of situations, you also keep possession of the ball.
Yeah, possession's what you need,
And
but
now it's gone.
yeah, you can throw it away very easily if you're not paying attention and if you're not using those kicks with your goalkeeper correctly, as the pause is going to be made from Tor. As I'm sure he can make some personnel changes to try and bring a little bit more energy and stamina into his side, as he's probably noticed a couple getting a little bit fatigued as we get to the late stages of this second leg. You can see the pressure now amping up for Webb Nasri as well, not allowing much time for Ajax Tor on the ball.
So tough, though, in these situations. To keep your composure, not to make that mistake which allows your opponent, who's taking his time to build up, to find a way towards goal. Maybe this is it here for Neymar. And it was that chance, but Ajax Tor couldn't take it. The timing, again, letting him down in that particular position. And all it really means is Webb Nasri has the ball back.
Yeah, Webb Nasri has the ball back, and the pause will also allow him to make a couple of changes. I think he's bringing Ronaldinho on and Eusebio, so the usual suspects for these two players. And you can see on the screen there as well, it's still the 4-2-3-1 for him. It's just a little bit more of an attacking style of it. Really pushing up, getting players on that wing, trying to spread the play and trying to counteract this very narrow formation we've seen from Ajax Tor. I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to see Webb Nasri just switching things up, and maybe fast build-up will be applied and setting all these strikers and attackers to staying forward and not coming back on defence.
Well, this is his season on the line. This is what we have to remember here. It's not a case of, I get to come back in a couple of weeks' time. It's done, dusted till FIFA 20. So he needs to go now. 20 minutes left for Webb Nasri to turn this one around. I know he's a player that has a lot of fans in the community, always likes to entertain, but giving the ball away from a goal kick, not the greatest start, because now that time is going to be slipping away, and his season's going to be slipping through his fingers. Pull it on this right-hand side here for Tor, and well, I've said it a few times, but sometimes the pitches do more than I can say. Here comes Webb Nasri, though, having won the ball back, and again, it's just great defending, you have to say, from Ajax Tor.
He's pressing up with the fullbacks. He's realised that Webb Nasri is trying to expose his left and right-hand side, so now he's not allowing the space, he's not allowing those balls to be played because he's pressuring in the right areas. But he does need to be careful. If he brings one of those fullbacks a little bit too far, then Webb Nasri might just be able to slot in a ball behind, and that might be the one chance he needs.
Well, Modric has managed to get the right side of Patrick Vieira here. Maldini has been absolutely immense in the heart of that defence, though, for Ajax Tor, but that's a mistake. Mbappe now for Webb Nasri. Oh, and he almost managed to carve an opening.
I think that's going to be the story for Webb Nasri if he can't get a goal back here. It's going to be so close yet so far, not only in this game, but to the E-World Cup as well. As I'm sure so many people feel as they get to the playoffs, but they fall just a couple of rounds short of getting to the most prestigious tournament of the year. As now, it's just keep ball for Tor. It's a training exercise. It's just a matter of not allowing Webb Nasri to get that ball whatsoever.
8 minutes of regulation time left here. Webb Nasri's season is crumbling before his eyes. All the pressure in the world goes all the way back to the goalkeeper here. Tor trying not to take any risk whatsoever. He's got absolutely no interest in trying to find another goal himself, but there's the mistake that Webb Nasri was desperate for, but he can't find that pass again and just presents the ball back to Ajax Tor. But no,
He's too quick. He wasn't expecting it.
He snatched at it.
And he was hammering the tackle button. And he shot because of it, and now he has such little time to work with. And not only is it Webb Nasri's season on the line, but I'm sure the stranger and Footwiz Marco are watching on with bated breath.
Havertz has the ball here. There was a chance again for Webb Nasri to win the ball. And he brings the player down. A booking here for Rafael Varane in the 89th minute. But again, it's more seconds off the clock.
And for Webb Nasri, he's just going to have to try and bring as many blue shirts as close to this ball as possible, because I think we know where this is going to end up. Right in that corner flag.
And all the way back it goes. 90 minutes on the clock. Barring a huge mistake here from Ajax Tor, he will be progressing. Big switch to the play. 20 seconds left. The time is over. Webb Nasri's season is over. But Ajax Tor, as you can see on your screen, moves on to the quarterfinals.
And he gets